Hi all and welcome. Great to have everyone here and connected. So just quickly about myself, my name is Stuart Ship. I'm part of the ACE Alliance and Channels ecosystem at ServiceNow, working in my first year, but previously been with ServiceNow partner for 15 and a half years. So what I want to do today is quickly cover a little bit about platform as key component, just to get that kind of baseline again, and then dive in specifically for this target, the public sector digital services, PSDS, and discuss the concept and power of interagency connectivity using a core component of the platform called Service Bridge, and then run through an example of PSDS in play for public safety and emergency, and a final use case looking at New South Wales Rural Fire Service. So I didn't want to presume the entire audience was familiar with ServiceNow, so I quickly just want to spend some minutes discussing that. So in today's world, customers want fast, responsive service, while self-service portals and customer support can quickly receive requests. Resolving them usually involves multiple teams, support, operations, field services, etc. And these teams often work in different systems, which leads to manual, error-prone handoffs between teams, poor visibility, and so on. This, of course, then slows down resolution, it's inefficient, and leads to poor experiences for customers, employees, and partners. And this can be accentuated when dealing with public services, emergencies, etc., where time is such a critical element. So at its most simplistic, this is where ServiceNow excels by intelligently automating and orchestrating work across those existing processes, departments, and agencies if required, in order to be able to handle requests and solve complex customer issues much faster. So doing that forward, I want to quickly discuss the platform holistically to cement the power of the platform. So at the very bottom, again, we have all these systems of record, even in different industry standards, including the public sector, where customers have spent a lot of time and money and investments in these systems of record do a great job, right? SAP, or it could be SuccessFactors, Salesforce, and so on and so forth. What ServiceNow is not doing is trying to rip and replace those, right? We want to act as that single pane of glass that ingests all of that data, and not all of the data in those systems, but only the bits that's required, to then proffer that out to all our different sort of audiences and viewpoints so that it can be used a lot better in one system of record and action. And then on the Now platform itself, we have a single reusable data model. We've got our artificial intelligence. Remember, this is classic AI as well as our new generative AI. So AI has been in the ServiceNow system for quite a few years, thinking about similarity, clustering, all of those kind of machine learning, NLUs, etc., that you can use, as well as the new sort of generative AI using sort of the Now Assist capabilities, and that's embedded across our platform. We have our process orchestration, so our workflow components, our analytics and process mining, very key. Of course, a very secure and compliant business model, so that you can ensure that necessary details are seen by the necessary people in the necessary spaces. And then in that kind of middle layer, thinking about our key sort of digital workflows that we call them. So people are very familiar with this in the technology excellence stack, for example, ITSM, ITOM, OT, operations technology management, ITAM, SAMHAM, and also our custom service experience. So thinking about our B2B, B2C, field service management, and more recently, the sales and order management. And we've also got our employee experience, HRSD, health and safety, legal, our operational excellence, thinking about risk management, privacy, ESG, and of course our hyper automation and low code, that ability to have an app engine that you can build out anything you need on the platform in a low code form and manner. Very important for customers in all areas where they have something bespoke that they do. Obviously, that's not going to fit design strategy, so the ability to build on the platform. And then across the top, we've got our industry solutions. And I should say this as well, that in all of these areas, ServiceNow has gone out and got industry expertise, understanding the data models in all of these areas and bringing those and building them out into the system. So all of these industry solutions can be taken out of the box. Of course, they can be developed and obviously adapted for processes that need to be, but it provides that best practice, industry best practice based on that. Of course, we've got across banking, insurance, telco, manufacturing. I've highlighted here public sector, which we'll be focusing on today, retail, energy and utilities, healthcare and life sciences. And at the very top, of course, thinking about our engagement layer. So making sure that we've got that visibility across all of those omni channels, the portal, the mobile, virtual agent, live chat, email, telephony sort of integrations, universal requests, and so on and so forth. Making sure that we have the right information for all the right personas across every sector that we need to. So having briefly looked at that overview, I want to focus on that industry-specific component that we've highlighted, public sector digital services, PSDS for short, and I use that throughout the rest of the presentation. And this component of ServiceNow provides customers a digital platform to modernize and speed up the delivery of government and public-focused services, so that governments and agencies can elevate the customer experience while, of course, lowering the cost to serve. So with PSDS, ServiceNow first focused on building the data model foundation so that customers can model the needed relationships easily. And then we moved on to focusing providing those package playbooks towards specific use cases, examples including social services, regulatory services, universal services, and of course, agency to agency services. So PSDS enables government organizations, external agencies to support all their constituents and business stakeholders all from a single platform. And I also wanted to quickly call out a component available on the platform called Service Bridge. This capability is hugely beneficial for interconnectivity between different companies, agencies, partners, all working on ServiceNow. So through a simple configuration-based approach, Service Bridge connects multiple ServiceNow instances to provide seamless service and support experiences, unifying enterprise customers, providers, and partners on a common workflow. So with a large number of enterprise customers or public sector organizations and partners already using ServiceNow, it provides the ability to have a huge ecosystem to connect cost effectively without custom integrations. So the number of Service Bridge connections increases the overall network effect value and provides massive efficiency gains with seamless workflow automation across the system. You can provide customers with a modern digital experience and much greater end-to-end automation and transparency. And with one platform architecture and data model, ServiceNow brings people, systems, and data into one system of action. So everyone has full visibility of the progress, the process, and flows, and handoffs are automated to drive much faster resolution times. The end result is much greater automation efficiency, greater experiences, and again, a lower cost to serve. And disconnected operations are then transformed into a modern digital experience where service and support requests are resolved quickly and efficiently. So a colleague of mine, Gerwin, put this slide together a few months back for another presentation around connected ecosystems. But I love the visualization that this gives to the thought of these different agencies, vendors, and partners all being interconnected on their own ServiceNow instances, seamlessly integrated using capabilities like Service Bridge. The ability to then work within their own systems while simultaneously being connected to each other and being able to automate and optimize that capability, moving towards that sort of nirvana of a total ecosystem experience. So now we want to move into an example using PSDS in the public safety and emergency management space. So collaboration between different agencies and even departments within an agency can be challenging in the wake of a natural disaster, amongst other emergencies. And some of the key issues are, firstly, communications. Poor comms can lead to confusion, delays, and error responses. Information sharing, that can be difficult due to differences in technology, data formats, security protocols. And this leads to delays in the response effort and can make it difficult to get a complete picture of the situation on the ground. Resource allocation, different agencies and departments may have different priorities and resources. Leadership and decision-making, so that can be challenging to establish clear lines of authority and leadership. Training and preparedness, so different agencies and departments may have different levels of preparedness for a disaster response. And economic and business pressures ultimately slow digital transformation and typically force agencies to make difficult choices as they prepare and respond to ever-increasing disasters. As agencies collaborate to serve communities in times of need, they're faced with many hurdles. And of course, no disaster or no emergency is the same. So although agencies plan ahead, they must make on-the-spot changes, involve multiple agencies, staff, and volunteers. So however, siloed systems and process and operations and limited data availability can impact decisions based on that real-time information. And this is further impacted by slow technology agility. So typically, as a result, communities and those affected by the disaster and emergencies are negatively impacted. So what this really means is that agencies and leaders are faced with incredibly difficult decisions that normally involve trade-offs. Depending on where you sit in the agency and your mission, you may be forced to answer questions like, do you spend more time and resources involving citizen trust in a time of need or improving response times? Do you focus on modernizing technology or simplifying operational processes? All of these choices and decisions have an impact on the top line and the bottom line and impact the agency's ability to achieve their mission. Some of the most common challenges we hear from our customers on their journey to digital reinvent themselves, too many manual processes, too many manual tasks, lack of visibility, no transparency. We've got legacy systems. And hopefully some of these sort of resonate with you and your customers. And as we started to dig deeper into these challenges, it didn't take long to realize there was a common theme. To address these challenges, government agencies can leverage PSDS to streamline coordination and response, providing that ability to automate complex cross-departmental processes, massive increase in data visibility, real-time awareness and collaboration, improve decision-making capabilities with integrated experience and data, remove manual repetitive tasks, streamline capabilities, etc. So the following is just an example of what a recovery and response coordination journey could look like, but wanted to try and visualize this and then look how we could leverage the PSDS model to work within that. So the journey as an example could include 3 stages. An organized stage, identifying people, teams, availability, a deploy stage, understand locations, capacity, skills, and dispatch. A restore stage, engineers, volunteers, technician on site, fulfilling and completing tasks and work order. So communication is critical. During disaster response, it can be challenging to coordinate between different agencies and departments, and that can lead to confusion, delays, and errors in the response effort. The key to success is communication, not wasting any time. So we can use PSDS to coordinate the efforts of all the agencies involved. The key thing here is working closely with other agencies to ensure that resources are being allocated effectively, all in one system. We can then incorporate other elements of PSDS to help with shift planning, scaling operations, organizing third parties, better crew management. Field service management can help government agencies allocate resources more effectively by providing real-time dashboards that provide at a glance metrics, employee, volunteer, citizens, and resource allocations. We can ensure that technicians have all the necessary equipment and supplies to carry out their tasks. We can save time by automating work assignments instead of manually assigning staff responsibilities. And this level of visibility helps dispatch work to the right people with the right inventory in the right location. With PSDS, we can streamline dispatching by providing a field-optimized mobile interface that makes it easy for workers to track assignments, enter task details, collect signatures, as an example. We can reduce administrative burdens with mobile debrief and streamlining inventory management for the field. So as an example, the engineer that is responsible for carrying out the tasks associated, such as clear the debris, restore power, provide medical assistance to the affected citizens. They can use ServiceNow to quickly access the necessary information from a mobile device and ensure that they are performing the correct tasks in the correct timeline, recording any information, evidence, etc., and overall working more efficiently and quickly to restore and recover. So overall, by leveraging the power of the ServiceNow platform, government agencies can improve their response to natural disasters by providing personalized and frictionless services to their constituents, modernizing their services, and empowering their employees to work more efficiently. So in my final few slides, I want to very briefly speak to NWS Fire Service and a few examples of what they achieved with the platform. So most of us are aware of the devastating fire season Australia had in the year 2019 to 2020. In fact, I hadn't actually moved to New Zealand, but I was over in holiday in 2019, Christmas and New Year. And as part of the family tradition, we always do a New Year's Day walk. We went up the local hill and we're just devastated by all the fire smoke that had come all the way across from Australia over to New Zealand, and it was covering the sky. It really gave some scale to how bad it must have been. And even though apparently this wasn't the worst bushfire historically, the impact, of course, was very significant. So between July 2019 and the 13th of February 2020, the NWS Rural Fire Service reported that 11,264 bushel grass fires burned in the region of 5.4 million hectares. It destroyed 2,439 homes and very tragically killed 33 residents and 9 firefighters. And these are the events that catalyzed this use case. So briefly, just talking about the RFS, it's the world's largest volunteer service. Members provide fire and emergency service to approximately 95% of New South Wales state. The organization is made up of more than 70,000 volunteers, operating in 21,000 brigades, and supported by 700 staff. And the aim, of course, is to reduce the likelihood and the consequences of fires. The key use cases for the RFS was to remove large volumes of paper process, manual repetitive tasks, and a general lack of streamlined and coordinated process, and of course, improve their visibility and tracking. And this was across two things. Firstly, the onboarding of volunteers, but then managing fire and emergency requests and what they call the strike team engagement. So looking at the PSDS model, it allowed for the provision of, in one place, the portal for volunteer information applications. This immediately moved away from the legacy paper-based and moved into streamlined, audited, tracked, compliant process in the tool, allowing for critical information attachments to be collected up front. And of course, then it encompassed even better usage, so they could incorporate virtual agent, announcements, targeted knowledge, amongst other components. So again, it's important to note in the past when a volunteer was applying, the process was long and complicated with multiple touchpoint and PDF forms. Streamlining into PSDS with the request submission element was vastly more efficient and integrated with pre-filled information, allowing for signature collection and correct data selections, all of which helped speed up the process front end and back end. And as a volunteer service, the volunteer application onboarding was a very critical component to address and make as speedy as possible. Once submitted, another example of the process, again previously calls and paper trail, involved the setup of an appointment with the brigade captain. This has all been created in ServiceNow using the walk-up experience. Volunteers can select coordinated available times and dates for the interview, and that can all be booked in and submitted easily and effectively. Now let's focus on some of the elements that the brigade captains can see. And again, a bit of a busy slide, but I want to give you the essence of how all the different elements can be tied together. So based off their workspace inside of ServiceNow, they can see all of the relevant working cases in flight. They can review the volunteer applications or the related materials, references, and notes and attachments. They can dive into the applications themselves and see the details such as the appointment and when that's being booked. They also use the playbooks capability to run the process, again, removing those manual tasks, paperwork, and trail issues, and they know where they are and how to progress at any given point. So now we have the volunteers in the system. Let's move to that second section of the usage of these volunteers and people and what the RFS called the strike team process. So originally, it's fair to say this was a highly manual paper-based process, which caused erroneous dispatches of assets like crews, etc., and vehicles, which created additional workload for the frontline firefighters and the coordination staff. They were using these forms and paper components to gather the people, vehicle, and equipment to then go out to tackle the fires and emergencies. So again, super critical, and in its current state, along with the time taken, there was a lack of visibility on where things stood, lack of coordination and all the different elements. And they also essentially had 45 districts all doing this in their own way with different nuances. So with the help of ServiceNow and the PSDS model, as well as the App Engine capability, this entire process was streamlined into the system to be operated and run by all districts and personnel in the same way with the coordinated data and visibility. Today, an administrator puts together the strike team requests, adds vehicles, response types, etc. So once this is submitted, it moves up one level in the organization to the MIC, a Mission Incident Control Desk. And all the details about the strike team, its requests, details on the fire itself, resources and capabilities are all connected and available on the system. And they can also plot map capabilities by bringing in via Integration Hub data to then show the fire coverage and display that in ServiceNow. Then using that data, they can target the correct brigade to then send to cover the emergency. This then allows the regional teams to connect vehicles, firefighters, equipment, and then say that they can fulfill those capabilities being requested, offer them out, and they can be put towards the strike team itself being created for the incident. This is then all connected back to the MIC, and then they can form the full strike team and dispatch to the fire. These are just some very quick snippets and overview, but want us to tie this into a use case and really give some real life version to how PSDS can help governments and agencies. So I just want to finish with a small sample of some global government agencies that have partnered with us on their digital transformation journeys. They're driving outcomes across all parts of their business with the ServiceNow platform, looking at the ways in which they were able to improve their employee and volunteer experience through digital transformation as they automated and digitized their recruit applicant processes. So our references demonstrate the power of a platform. These stories and many more can be found on our website, but we hope you found this quite a good insight and the content useful. And of course, we'd love to work with you and your customers and helping them on their digital transformation journey with ServiceNow. Thank you.